Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namaste. Today I want to share with you my reflection for Father's Day, which we will celebrate around the world on June 21st. Last month, I shared with you a reflection for Mother's Day. This reflection focused on the teaching from the Yajurveda, Matru Devo Bhava. May you become a human being for whom Mother is a Deva, that is, a being treated with reverence and honor. The Vedic teacher followed by adding Pitra Devo Bhava. May you become a human being for whom Father is a Deva. Again, a being treated with reverence and honor. All that I said in my Mother's Day message about reverence, respect, and care for the mother applies equally to the father. And so I will not repeat myself here. The Sanskrit word for father, pita, comes from the root pa, which means to protect. In his famous work, the Artha Shastra, the writer Chanakya describes the 5 important roles of a father in the life of his child. These are, of course, shared with the mother. This is what Chanakya writes. Annadata bhayatrata yasya kanya vivahita janita kopaneta cha panchaite pitaraf smritaha. First, the father is Janita, the one who, with the mother, is responsible for the birth of the child. Second, the father is Annadata, the one who provides for the sustenance of the child. Third, the father is Bhayatrata, the one who protects and ensures the emotional security and well-being of the child. Fourth, the father is Kanya Vivahita, the one who gives his child in marriage. And fifth, the father is Upaneta, the giver of knowledge, and especially of sacred knowledge to his child. Chanakya gives us a very comprehensive definition of the significance of the father. What I find to be especially insightful in Chanakya's description is that the father is not just the provider of the physical needs of the child. He is indeed Annadata. Anna means food, the provider of food or sustenance. But he also has a role in ensuring the emotional well-being of the child. He is Bhayatrata, making sure that the child is well internally, free from anxiety. He is also his child's teacher and the one who makes certain that the child enters into healthy relationships. The father here in the Artha Shastra is not a distant and unevolved figure in the life of his child. With the mother, he nurtures his child physically, emotionally, and mentally. Naturally, as society changes, all of these roles do not have the same or identical meaning and may be fulfilled differently. But these remain among the primary obligations of the father in the Hindu tradition. The Hindu sacred texts celebrate the deep and joyful relationships between fathers and children. Let us look closely at two examples from the Ramayana, focusing on Dasarath and Janak as fathers. The birth of a child is a cause of great joy to a father. The Ramayana describes Dasaratha's reaction when he heard of the birth of his son. Dasaratha putra janma sunikani manahu brahmananda samana parama prema manapulaka sharira chahata uthana karata mati dhira. When he heard of the birth of his child, the text says, his joy was indescribable. Dasaratha putra janma sunikana manahu brahmananda samana. The text, in fact, compares Dasaratha's joy to the joy of a mind delighting in the divine. The joy is heavenly, Brahmananda Samana. His heart overflowed with love, Parama Prema Mana. His joyful excitement was physical. His body trembled, and he found it challenging to stand. Pulaka Sharira, Chahata Uthana, Karatamati Dhira. As his son grew up, Dasarath enjoyed playing with him. He would often place him on his lap, even with, as the text says, his body covered in the dirt and dust of play. Dhusara dhuri bhare tanu aaye, bhupati vihasi goda baithaye. As his sons grew in age, Dasaratha's relationship with them deepened. When the teacher Vishwamitra visited and requested permission to take his sons with him, Dasaratha could not imagine separation from them. His heart raced. He grew pale. He offered the teacher land and wealth in place of his sons, pleading that they are dear to him as life itself. Sabasuta Priya Pranaki Nai. Pranaki Nai. They are my life. When he is reunited with his sons after a long separation, he could not contain his joy. Clasping them close to his heart, lifted the burden of his anguish and separation from them. The Ramayana described him as looking like a dead body restored to life. Sutta hiya lai, dusaha dukha mete, mritaka sharira, prana janubhete. Mritak sharira, like a dead body, prana janubhete, infused once more with breath, with life. As a father, Dasarath openly reveals his affection for his sons and expresses his feeling physically. He does not conceal his emotions. In this way, He challenges stereotypes of males as emotionally inhibited and incapable of communicating gentler emotions. Dasarat teaches us how important such expression of emotions are in father-child relationships. The second example of fatherhood from the Ramayana that I want to share with you is that of Janak, the father of Sita. Dasarath was the father of 4 sons, as you know, Ram, Lakshman, Bharat, and Shatrughan. Janak, on the other hand, was the father of 2 daughters, Sita and her younger sister, Urmila, who eventually became the wife of Lakshmana. Janak was very happy to be the father of daughters. There is no evidence in the Ramayana of Janak praying for or performing religious ceremonies for the birth of sons. The authors of the Ramayana do not give us a lot of details about the childhood of Sita, but there are very important clues and insights in the text about Janak as a father and his relationship with his daughters. I want to highlight 4 of these. First, Janak reminds us, very importantly, that fatherhood is a relationship. It is not merely biological or only biological. According to a traditional account in the Valmiki Ramayana, Sita was found by Janak in the fields when he was preparing the earth for a religious ceremony. Whatever we may think of this account, the fact is that Sita was the adopted daughter of Janak and his wife Sunayana. She was brought up by her parents with great love and care. In fact, her closeness to her father is revealed in the many affectionate names by which she is also known. All of these names connect her with her father, Janak. Sita is widely called Janaki, which means the daughter of Janak. She is also known as Maithili, which means the princess of Mithila, the kingdom of her father. One of Janak's name is Videha, meaning one who is free from attachment to the body. Sita is also called Vaidehi, the daughter of Videha. Urmila was Janak's biological daughter, but she was never favored above Sita. Janak treated his daughters equally. Second, as a father, Janak wanted the best for his daughters. The successful suitor for the hand of Sita in marriage was the one who was able to bend the gigantic bow of Shiva, and no one had done this before. Again, in whatever way we choose to interpret this test, it reveals that Janak established very high standards for the hand of his daughter. He was not anxious to give his daughter away in marriage just for the sake of having her married. Janak, as a father, did not lower his expectations for his daughters, and even Sita wondered at one time if her father's standards were too high. Third, Janak was a scholarly and deeply learned king. He is a Raj Rishi, a royal sage, commended in the Bhagavad Gita for combining wisdom and action, wisdom and rule. In the court of Janak, Sita grew up listening to great philosophical debates that her father convened. Importantly, these debates were not limited to male participants. Janak also invited women scholars to participate, such as Gargi, Vachaknavi, who questioned the great sage Yajnavalkya in one debate. What an impact such debates must have had on Sita and her sister Urmila, empowering them to be confident, to speak their minds, and to be fearless women. We see such qualities in her insistence that she accompany Ram into the dangerous forests. We see these qualities in her readiness to challenge Ram, to make her own choices, and in her resilience. We see such qualities in her brave defiance of Ravana in Lanka. Both daughters embodied their father's strength and wisdom. Fourth and finally, Janak's deep love for his daughter Sita was revealed in a very special and tender way on the day of Sita's marriage to Ram. Imagine the scene. The sacred marriage Vivaha ceremony was over, and Ram and Sita were ready to depart Mithila for Ayodhya. Every member of the family came forward to say goodbye to Sita. Her father, Janak, was the last to come forward. The text describes him as approaching her with his heart overflowing with love and his eyes full of tears. Prema umagi lochana jala chai. The Ramayana's description of Janak, the father, at this moment is extraordinarily intimate and moving. Here is the verse. Siya biloki dhirata bhagi. Rahe kahavata paramabiragi. लीन ही राय उरलाई जान की मिट्टी महा मर्यादा ज्ञान की. Janak was famous for his self-control, his renunciation and his detachment. His subjects spoke of him, as Ramayana says, as the supreme renunciant, Rahe Kahavata Paramaviragi, the great renunciant. He was known, as I noted before, as Videha, the one without attachment to the body, the Deha. But when he gazed into his daughter's eyes, Siya Viloki, Ramayana says he lost his famed self-control. In fact, the text says, Dhirata Bhagi. it deserted him. As he embraced his daughter, Leenhi Raya Ura Lai Janaki, his wisdom and his detachment collapsed like the banks of a river washed away in flood. Miti Maha Marajada Gyanaki. His love for his daughter proved to be stronger in that moment than his great detachment, vairagya, and knowledge, jnana. This is an exceptional description of Janak and of the special bond between a father and his daughter. Today we celebrate the fathers in our lives, those with us and those no longer with us physically. We celebrate the fathers of sons and the fathers of daughters. We celebrate fathers who adopt children and make them their own. We celebrate fathers like Dasarath, who raised sons like Ram to put truth and justice above power. We celebrate fathers like Janak, who raised daughters like Sita to be wise, to be strong, to be brave, and to be resilient. We celebrate fathers who love their sons and daughters, those who express love in words and in embrace, and those who express love silently in a lifetime of caring and support. Today we honor, we remember, and we bless them all in gratitude. Happy Father's Day.